guys, welcome to today's Big Brother 18 updates and spoilers. Our house guest today is Robin Shannon. Yay! Thank you so much for your support on Patreon. And if you guys want to be house guest of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Okay, so as you guys can probably see, this video is really long because shit's about to get crazy. I'm not kidding. I got some good stuff for you guys today. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay, so we know that Michelle and Zakiya are on the block, and we're getting closer and closer to this double eviction. And the house guests are assuming it's going to be a double eviction, and they're right. But anyway, Michelle's really trying to get things going here. We've seen that she's been trying to get some votes in her favor, and she's really ramping it up now, and it is exciting. So Michelle was chatting with Victor, and she's like, who do you want out this week? And Victor says, I want Zakiya to go, but it's not up to me. I don't have a vote this week. So Michelle's like, well, you just wait, because we can make this happen. If James cancels out the right votes this week, I'm only going to need 3 to stay. So Michelle's trying to reassure him, like, I'm not going after you. I'm not going after Bridget, Paul, James, or Natalie. And Victor's like, I know. Like, I realize it's in my best interest for you to stay. I'm for that, but I can't do anything about it. So then Michelle's trying to, take the temperature of the situation. She asks him, like, do you trust Paulie even though he freaking backdoored you? And he's just like, yeah, it's water under the bridge, Adele. And, that wasn't his fault. Like, that happened because of that alliance of 8. No, Victor! Does he have freaking Stockholm Syndrome? Are we gonna start calling him Tanya? Is that his new name? I mean, come on! Stop it! So, he's still in love with Paulie, and Michelle's like, that's ridiculous. So she starts throwing Paulie under the bus to Victor, and she's just like, he's taken you out before, he will take you out again, he sees you as a physical threat, he's always saying that all your competition wins don't count, because Victor's all like, I won all these comps with, like, the battle backs, and Paulie's just like, those don't count. So there's some competition there, and Michelle's telling him, I know you feel like you're really close with him, but I was working with him too, and now I'm on the outs, so it could happen to you too. So then Victor is telling Michelle, you need to get out there and campaign, talk to Paul, see what he's thinking, but he can't fight too hard for her personally because it could mess up his game. So she's really got to get out there. And she's like, oh, don't worry, I will. So Michelle's working hard, but then you've also got Bridget and Natalie who are freaking busting their butts trying to make this happen, and it's really awesome to see. So Bridget is starting to lay the groundwork with Paul. They were having a game chat in the safari room, and they're talking about this week's vote, and Paul is saying, I don't really care who goes this week because both of the girls are pretty much equal in my eyes. Neither of them are coming after me in the near future. So Bridget's telling him, stop. You need to start thinking about, long term here. Who's going to come after you? Zakiya is so close to Paulie. He's got her wrapped around his finger. So, what good does that do you? So then Bridget starts digging a little bit into Paul and Paulie's relationship. She wants to see, again, what the situation is there. It's just like when Michelle was trying to see how close Victor is to Paulie. So Paul is like, I know that Paulie is close with a lot of people, but he basically says, like, I'd like to think that I'm the closest. So he didn't say that exactly, but in so many words, So then Paul is telling her, I don't think it's the right time to go against the house. Ugh, gross! So it's like he realizes that Paulie is going to be dangerous down the road. He's, like, afraid to do anything about it. So, but honestly, I think that Paul feels that he is Paulie's number 2, and maybe if you're talking about, like, crap, like a number 2 in the toilet, I don't know. But ally, not so much. So Michelle, Natalie, and Bridget have a little check-in in the bathroom area. They're trying to see, what's cooking. Michelle's like, well, I think my talk with Victor went really well. He told me that he wants Zakiya out, but she can't believe that he said that he trusts Paulie 100%. And they're all like, for real, though. So then they're talking about how they're frustrated that people seem scared to make big moves. Every person they talk to seems to acknowledge that Pauly is running things, and yet they're not doing anything about it. So then they're like, we need to keep working on people. We need to get people on board so that James will feel more comfortable using that care package power to cancel out the right votes. Because James is all like, I'm not going to do anything unless the House wants me to do it. The House is not a person! Okay, so then Natalie is working on James one-on-one. This was like kind of tense though. There was like some weird vibes between the two of them yesterday. So he's asking her, like, what's up, who's going home this week? And she's just like, I know that as of right now, Michelle's going home. Why are you asking me that when you already know that it's Michelle? So then he's like, well, I could save Michelle, but it would piss off the whole house, and I'm not about that life. And Natalie's like, it would only piss off the 3 people who are running this house, Pauly, Nicole, and Corey. So maybe we should think about that and change it up. So eventually they move to the London room, and they start arguing about, like, not hanging out with each other, and, like, you didn't try to talk to me, and you didn't try to talk to me, and I asked you to hang out, and you said it was too hot outside, and, like, all this bullshit. I mean, we've seen this argument multiple times from these two. Let's not do this again. We've got some important stuff going on here. So it seems like they kind of worked it out. But anyway, isn't it amazing to see Michelle and Bridget finally sharing information? They were like at each other's throats for the longest time because they were both in love with Frank and they just wanted to hang out with him, and there was all that jealousy. So now they're like working together, they're friends, so they're trying to come up with a plan to keep Michelle this week. So they're like, obviously, we've got to get James and Paul on board to make this work. So they're trying to make it less bad for James. That's not the word that I wanted to go with, but they don't want to force James to, like, take the fall for this by canceling out the wrong votes. So they're like, well, if we can get Paul's vote, we can have James cancel out 1 vote from each side, so it's not as suspicious. It's not like he would have to cancel out 2 votes to keep Zakiya, you know? So if he could just do 1 from each side and then they have Paul's vote, they could have a 3-2 vote and it would be all good. So then they talk about how, of course, Pauly's running things, Nicole's a snake, blah, blah, blah. And then they have this, like, wacky-ass plan that Bridget wants to, like, flirt with Pauly to mess with Zakiya because they know that Zakiya's jealousy really hurts Pauly's game. So they're trying anything right now, and it's just gonna be a mess. So I love it. So then back to Natalie and James. She's continuing to push him. She's trying to tell him, like, look, we gotta do something here or we're just gonna get picked off one by one. We're gonna freaking lose. So she's telling James Pauly has complete control over Zakiya. She's like a little marionette. She is literally in love with him, and she plays this game with her emotions. Is she playing the game though? I agree she has emotions, but is she playing the game? So then she keeps telling him like it is, and James is just acting clueless. It's like really weird. Whenever Natalie tries to have serious game chats with him, he's just like, oh, you're so cute, blah, blah, blah. Stop that! So then Michelle joins them, and she's like, James, if you play along with us and cancel out the right votes, like, I'm confident that we could get the votes to pull this off. So James is like, well, I'm going to need those people that are saying that they're going to vote for you to come and talk to me, because I need some assurance here. So he seems really concerned that, like, they'll go through with this plan and keep Michelle, and then, like, Pauly, Nicole, or Corey will win the next HOH, and he'll be up on the block next to Michelle. And Michelle's like, even if that happens, I'm gonna go home next to you, and, like, if I win the power of veto, I'll use it on you. Like, I'll tell everybody to vote me out, whatever. So then, this is where I feel like things really start to change. Michelle starts bringing up these personal attacks that the other side has made on them. So she's like, oh yeah, Natalie, Nicole is always imitating you and, like, making fun of you, and Zakiya and Nicole get so jealous when you talk to Pauly and Corey. And then she's saying Pauly keeps saying that he's got these stories about you being this crazy party girl outside of the house, because if you guys didn't already know this, Pauly apparently dated some girl that Natalie knows, so he says he's got all these stories about her that he can't say on the feeds, and he's going to save it for after. So, Michelle leaves the room. It's just Natalie and James again, and Natalie is so pissed at Pauly. She's like, can't believe he's talking about my personal life and trying to make me out to be this huge partier, and like, I'm not like that. I mean, there might be some truth to that, but I don't know her, so I don't know. But anyway, Natalie, oh, this gets crazy. Natalie is ready to spill some shit. So she's talking to James, and she's like, I didn't tell you this before because I didn't want you to get mad, and I know that Pauly's your boy and stuff, but Pauly has made some inappropriate comments to me. And James is just like, oh, really? So then she's like, yeah, Pauly's been like, what if we made out right now? Nobody would have to know. Like, nobody would know about it. And then he said, like, I want to bite your butt. And he's always talking about her butt. And, like, I'm going to take you out on a date. Stuff like that. Along those lines. So then James is just like, why am I just hearing about this now? Like, what's this all about? So Natalie's like, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings and blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't a big deal, but now it is, you know, it's turning point here. So James is pissed. He's like, I feel like a fool that this was all happening and I didn't know about it. He's going to ask Pauly about it, and Natalie's all, no, don't do it. Stop. I'll be mad at you if you talk to him about it. So then Bridget joins the conversation. It's back to game mode. Don't worry, we're going to come back to that. But Bridget confirms with James she wants Michelle to stay, and James is just like, I didn't know all these people wanted Zakiya to go. So it's really opening up his eyes. But James is saying, like, if we're going to do this, I don't want to blindside the others. He's really concerned about what's going to happen after. So he says that he, like, wants Pauly to be cool with it. Ew! Stop! That's disgusting. Alright, so it's time for a PP chat in the HOH room. So Paul is just like, I pledge allegiance to PP. Seriously though, he's like, I'm all about PP. I'm PP to the end. Show me your PP. No. But he's telling Pauly, Victor is really worried about the couples. He's been bringing it up again and again. But Paul says, I trust you, Pauly. 100%. I know you're not going to screw me over. So then they start talking about the potential double eviction coming up. Pauly is still planning on putting up 2 girls. He's saying Nicole and Zakiya. And then he wants to target Bridget. So it's the same thing that we've heard. But Paul is saying, I don't know if it's the best move for us. Maybe we should, you know, take a serious shot here and split up one of the couples. Split up James and Natalie or Corey and Nicole. And Pauly at first is just like, oh yeah, like, I'm totally for that. If we can split up Corey and Nicole, we'll have Corey 100%. And then he's saying if it's James and Natalie, he would rather keep Natalie, because James is a bigger threat. But Pauly's saying, oh, we can't be the ones to take out James. We'll have to have Victor do that for us. So then he's, you know, he's circling back around to what he wants. He's like, we gotta get another girl out in the double eviction. And of course, he's pushing for Bridget. So it's the same thing that we've heard from him. And he just always manages to get back to what he wants. So then James, Nicole, and Corey are chatting. Nicole took a short break from talking about how Corey is Taylor Swift's type and they would be so perfect together. What? I swear to God, she mentioned it multiple times last night. Stop. So she was talking to James and she was like, well, you got this power from America. Are you thinking you're going to do something that America wants to see, or are you going to do something good for your game? So James is like, oh, I'm going to do something for my game. So Nicole is asking, like, what do you think about keeping Michelle? Are you going to try and keep her? And James is like, no, duh. He feels like he'd really be letting them down, and Pauly down, if he kept Michelle, because Michelle has made it very clear that she wants to make a big move and target some big players like them. So I can't tell at this point if he's serious or if he's just kissing some butt. But anyway, Nicole's like, oh, I would never put you up, or Corey, or Pauly. And then she's like, or Natalie, or Zakiya. So she basically names, like, everyone left except for, like, 3 people. You're gonna have to put those people up at some point. But Nicole is going on about how they can't keep Michelle this week because she's going to stir stuff up and she's a number for the other side. The other side meaning Victor and Paul and Bridget. So James was just like, yeah, of course, we got to get rid of her. She's got to go. All right. Again, it's hard to tell where exactly James stands at that moment. But Michelle was campaigning to Paul in the London room, and this conversation cut in mid-combo, so we didn't see the beginning of this, but Michelle was trying to convince Paul that Paul is playing everybody in this house, and Paul is like, yeah, but it's different, and we have something special. It's like when, there's, like, a girl who's, like, dating a guy who has a girlfriend, and, like, her friends are telling her, no, he's a scumbag, and she's just like, no, it's different, like, we really love each other. No. He's not breaking up with the girlfriend. So Michelle's telling him, you know, he makes everyone feel secure. He's got an amazing social game, and he's doing the same thing to you. Like, look at this week. He wouldn't even use the veto on his own showman. So you think he's going to look out for you? No. He's in this for himself. So Michelle's saying, if you need another example, I was in an alliance with Paulie, Nicole, Corey, and Zakiya. You know, me and the two couples, and look where I am right now. So Paul's like, all right, you're saying all this stuff. What's your plan? So she's saying, if we can get James to help me out, I'm only going to need 3 votes, and we could totally pull it off. So Paul is just like, the whole time. He's pretty quiet, but he's just trying to get some information out of Michelle. So she's like, look, I'm going to make a big move if I stay, and I want you to think about how every time somebody says we can't trust Nicole or Paulie, that person goes home. So Paul's like, yeah, you make a good point there. You make a good point. So then, Paulie and James were chatting in the have-not room, and first a little game chat. Paulie is telling James, you know, I heard from Paul that Bridget is planning on targeting you or Nicole if she wins HOH. She's saying that she wants to target the couples, and James is like, is she really? Because he's like, I don't know if she's going to do that because Bridget is really close with Natalie. Like, is she really going to take a shot at me? I don't know. And we know that Bridget has been hardcore telling James, like, she is ready to work with him. She wants to keep Michelle this week. Go after, yes, couples as in Nicole, Corey, Paulie, and Zakiya, but not James and Natalie. So then James is like, there's been something that's been bugging me. And he brings up the stuff that Natalie told him about Paulie. So he's like, yeah, she told me that you said this and this and this. You're going to bite her butt. So then Paulie's like, oh, I can't believe that she's saying this stuff. Like, yeah, I did say some of that, but it was a joke type thing. So he's trying to talk his way out of it. He's just like, that's how I joke around with everybody. Like, you've seen it. So then he's like, I would never actually go for Natalie. And then he starts crapping on her, saying, like, she's a typical Jersey girl, and, like, this is stuff that they pull all the time. And he's like, me and Cody and my friends back home, like, we have a code, and, like, we're not gonna take crap from Jersey girls like that. Oh, my God. So then James is telling Paulie that he's pissed at Natalie for not telling him about this sooner, and he feels like an idiot about it. And I'm not sure. I know that James was definitely pissed, but I'm not sure if he was just covering when he was talking to Paulie, or if he was actually pissed at Natalie, because I feel like he was kind of pissed at Paulie, but I don't know. So then, Natalie was talking to James again in the storage room this time, and she is really trying to knock some sense into him. It's getting late. People are getting desperate, but she's just like, open your freaking eyes. Paulie is controlling this house. And James is just like, well, I sleep all the time. Like, again, he's trying to be funny about it, but come on. So James, his main concern at this point seems to be, again, what would happen if they did keep Michelle, and then, you know, they need to take that next step and take a shot at Paulie and his crew. So James is worried that Paulie could potentially win the HOH. He's a competition beast. He can't rely on Michelle to win this HOH and do what she says she's going to do and make a big move. So Natalie's like, well, it wouldn't be completely up to Michelle. We would also have Bridget and Victor on our side. Like, we're building up our own little crew here. We could make this happen. So then Bridget joins them. Again, she's like, I'm still down to clown. Let's keep Michelle this week. And I'm telling you, it took a freaking long-ass time of Bridget and Natalie just hammering this info into James's head. But after a while, he's finally like, okay, let's do it. Let's keep Michelle and change this game up. So then, this is where it gets, you know, that train is really... So Paul joins them, and they're all telling him, like, this is what needs to happen. They're trying to pull him in. Michelle joins this conversation at some point. They're explaining, they're basically deprogramming Paul because, you know, Paul is all about PP. So they're telling him, Paulie is not looking out for you. He could not care less if you went home next week. So they're explaining Corey is Paulie's true number one. Again, they bring up how everyone who figures Paulie's game out goes home next week. So Bridget also mentions that she was talking to Corey and he told her not to trust Paul. And that is true. That actually happened. And Paul is just like, wow, I can't believe all this information I'm hearing right now. I'm really hurt because I trusted those guys. And it seems like Paul is being genuine. Like, he actually believes this. And it is true. But I wasn't sure if it was going to stick or not. So it seems like he's actually on board for now to keep Michelle this week and change things up. So they're talking about what James is going to do with his special power, and he agrees to cancel out Paul and Corey's votes. So again, they're thinking do one vote from each side, so it just cancels it out. Michelle only needs 3 votes to stay. So she would have Natalie, James, and Bridget. Alright, they want the vote to be 3-2 to confuse Paulie. They don't want to make it obvious. And they actually have this idea, maybe they could pin this on Nicole and pretend that the 3 votes were all the girls and try and play it off like there's some sort of girls alliance going on to freak them out and just have them be like, wait, what? Cause paranoia, all that good stuff. So then Paul starts sharing information, and this is where it really does start to seem like Paul is for sure going to go through with this plan. He's telling them, yeah, we made up this alliance called the Executives with all the guys, and it was like just a bullshit alliance to, you know, kind of make fun of Victor and also make him feel comfortable. So then he's also sharing that Paulie and Corey are not really into their showmances. They don't plan on dating them after the show, yada, yada, yada. So Paul and the girls talk way, you know, all the way through the morning. They stayed up all night just talking, just gabbing, comparing notes, planning for the future. So Paul is like, I'm going to get Victor in on this plan. I will fill him in on this and we'll get this ball rolling. And the girls are planning on talking to Zakiya about Paulie. Not only do they want to cause chaos leading up to this vote, but they're also thinking, if Zakiya has that round trip ticket and comes back, they want her to be pissed at Paulie. Okay, first things first, I would be really, really annoyed if Zakiya did have the round trip ticket. Oh my god, I can't even tell you how angry I would be. But also, do they really think that Zakiya's gonna buy this stuff? Like, it's true, but at the same time, it's Zakiya, and we've seen so far how she reacts to information about Paulie. She's just gonna freaking go make out with Paulie after. I don't know. But anyway, they're also planning for the double eviction. They want to follow through with this. They can't just keep Michelle and then just be like, okay, whatever. They want to take a shot at Paulie, but they want to go through that back door. So they're thinking put up Corey and Nicole and then go for Paulie after the veto. Alright, so it was a late start for the house guests today because most of them did stay up all night. So Paulie and Corey were up and they were telling, Paulie was telling Corey how James confronted him the night before about Natalie. And again, he's saying, Natalie's a typical Jersey girl, blah, blah, blah. Jersey girls suck. These are the games they play. Good luck dating after the show. I hope you weren't planning on, like, going back to New Jersey. But anyway, they also talk about how they feel like people are scheming. They were all up late last night, but they don't seem too worried about it. And Paulie's like, it's great now because I have a reason to put up Natalie. The reason! Vanessa! Vanessa's back! Okay, so then Corey is saying he really wants to go to the Final Five with the guys, but he's getting a little bit worried because there are some cracks in the group. Paulie agrees he does want to go to the end with them, so he says, but they've got to reassure Paul and Victor. They've been a little bit weird this week. So then Zakiya and Paulie were talking he also tells her about the Natalie thing, and he's saying, like, Natalie's the one who's hitting on me, so he can't believe that she's saying that stuff. And as expected, Zakiya's all, wow, like, she's like, Natalie's the worst, she sucks. So then she also brings up how Natalie asked her to hang out today, and Paulie's like, yeah, she's gonna probably tell you all this stuff about me, like, don't believe it. So Zakiya also told Nicole how Natalie was asking to hang out, and Nicole was just like, she wants to hang out with you? Why? It was like a little ridiculous. But then Nicole was like, maybe Natalie is gonna apologize for all the stuff that she did with Paulie, and like, it's messed up. What planet are you living on? Ah! Alright, so in other news, Bridget started to fill in Victor on the vote flip that they figured out last night. She didn't give him all the details. She was like, you need to have a conversation with Paul. He'll fill you in on everything. But Victor's initial reaction, he's into it because he wants Zakiya out anyway. That's better for his game. So, lordy lord, the next 24 hours are going to be crazy. Tomorrow is the double eviction. And it looks like at this point, Zakiya will be leaving unless she has that round-trip ticket. But is this going to stick? These next 24 hours are going to be crucial. You never know what could happen, so make sure you guys tune in tomorrow before the live show. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you excited? I'm pretty excited. And until tomorrow, much love.